Hello everyone. A while back I made a video ranting about a certain figure company that really pisses me off. That company was NECA, who in my opinion has extremely shitty quality control and who I've just had a very poor relationship with in the past few years. And I made like a long rant video about it a few months ago. And, I made a video about how much I hate a figure company. Now I think I'm going to make a video about a figure company that I love and that I've never had a bad experience with. And that company is Bandai. Now, Bandai is obviously not like just a figure company. They make a lot of stuff. But one of the things Bandai does produce is these Godzilla vinyls. Godzilla is a series that I like quite a bit and that I loved when I was a kid, and their vinyls are some of my favorite figures you can purchase on the market. In price, they range from being extremely cheap to ridiculously expensive, but it really depends on the year of said figure. So, on front of you, I have almost every single version of the Bandai Gigan figures. Gigan is my favorite Godzilla kaiju, and I own almost every version of him. I'm missing one version of the Final Wars Gigan that I'll get to in just a bit. So anyways, let's get right into it. We have obviously 4 different versions of Gigan. We have Showa Gigan from 2002. We have Showa Gigan from 2018. We have Final Wars Gigan from 2019. And we have Final Wars Gigan 2005, the original Japanese version. So, I'm going to talk about the differences between them, which ones are better, which ones are maybe not worse, because these are all honestly really good figures, but which ones I prefer, pros, cons, prices, etc., just comparing them all so you could see which one maybe you'd like to purchase. We're just going to go left to right, so let's start off with the Showa Bandai Gigan. Now, this one is from 2002 or 2003, I believe, and I purchased this at a vintage toy show, and it is honestly just a really good figure all around. I got this for about 20 bucks. Usually online it goes for about 50. As far as how it looks goes, if you're not familiar with Bandai, they are not known for their articulation. They're known for 2 things, and that's one, having, I guess, simple and cheap figures, and 2 is they're durable. These vinyls were originally meant to be played with by children, and so because of that, unlike things like NECA, these things will not break. Like, you cannot break these things. Obviously, if you grab their arms and fucking yank on them, you could pull them off. But they could just as easily be put back on if you pulled them off. I'm obviously not just gonna, like, pull them off for the camera here, but if you really put force into it, you could pull the limbs off. But they're extremely easy to fix. These things were obviously, though, designed to be played with by children, and therefore the durability of these things is pretty much unmatched as far as figures go. In case you're unfamiliar with Bandai articulation, it's usually just the legs move on like a swivel. They can usually go all the way around like that. The arms are pretty much the exact same, and the head can move 360, except this one's pretty tight. But yeah, overall, they're not known for their articulation. They're meant to either be put on a shelf or played with by, destructive kids. So for that, these things are perfect. As my opinion on this figure, I really do like it. I think the color on this is actually my favorite of all 4 of them. So the paint on this, yeah, is probably my favorite. Each of them has one thing that I do like a lot. But yeah, paint is really good. Complaints about this figure, I think the back flaps or wings are, they could be done better, because like it looks pretty detailed, right? But these wings are just kind of plain and bland, which the next version fixes a ton. The tail is very perfect. I think this one has, again, maybe my favorite tail. The legs might be my biggest problem, and that's due to the fact that his stance is just not as, like, like, the way he stands is just kind of like, look at that. Like, he's kind of stands very kind of sterile almost. He doesn't look like he's about to fight. He kind of just looks like he's standing around waiting for the subway to show up. Which, again, this one over there does improve on. But overall, yeah, really good figure. I'd recommend it if you can find it. This is probably the hardest one to find of all these. Next up is the 2018 Showa Gigan. Here's his tag. By the way, this one does not have, this is the only one I do not have the tag for because it just didn't come on. I usually remove the tags from the new ones and keep them on the vintage ones, but when I bought this one, it didn't have a tag. So yeah, here's the tag that came on him. Very nice picture of Gigan. You turn it around and you get like his like flaps there. Open it up, and I don't know what this is supposed to be, information or whatever, because this is literally, you know, made in Japan and stuff, or produced in Japan. I can't read Japanese. You can see the year. That's a nice thing. You can always see the years there of 2018. This is probably, might be my favorite Gigan figure. Now let's look at the comparisons, speaking that these are both Showa. This one is definitely more movie accurate as far as it looks, and honestly, I think in pretty much every way. The hooks, or as they're called, hammer hands, in I guess the lore or whatever, on this one are a bit more movie accurate. His arms are a bit longer in this, which is also more accurate. The head on this one is a bit more accurate. The neck is longer. This one honestly resembles more so the one from Godzilla vs. Megalon, whereas this one reminds me more of the one from Godzilla vs. Gigan. They're very similar suits. This one's obviously taller, got a longer neck. Now, one thing you'll instantly notice that's better about this one is the wings flap things. They're much better on this figure. They are nice and bright gold, more detailed lines on them. This one's just kind of like, they're just kind of there. This one has a more accurate, thinner eye. This one's got like kind of a thicker eye. The beak on this one's more accurate. Articulation is the exact same, except one thing that my main and only complaint regarding this figure is the head actually does not have any swivel. This one you can turn, you can look around. This one cannot do that. So yeah, other than that though, legs and arms exact same. Okay, my favorite thing about this figure has to be the way that they actually make it look like the costume. Like, they legitimately make this thing look like the costume from the movie. You can see like the lines there from where, like, you know, the costume would kind of be folded. You can see that on the arms. It literally looks like a suit. It's especially prevalent on the legs, as you can see there. Overall, this is just a really nice figure. The tail is good. I do think this one, though, has a slightly better tail, and that's due to the fact that the spikes are kind of colored on this one. This one, they're not. So, you know, that's nice. Let's get a review there. Overall, though, one of the other reasons I like this one better is his stance. As you can see, he's kind of got his legs kind of spread out. He's ready to battle, to do battle. This one, again, is just kind of standing there. Overall, this might be my favorite Gigan figure I own, and it goes for usually pretty cheap. You can usually pick this one up for about 25 bucks on eBay or Amazon or whatever you're looking for. The price usually doesn't change. And I highly recommend this. Really good bang for your buck out of this guy. Anyways, yeah, that was Showa Gigan. So, Showa Gigan 2018. Now we're getting into Final Wars Gigan. Right here is the 2019 Final Wars Gigan. Now you may be thinking he looks identical to the 2005 version, and you're right, he does look almost entirely similar, but there are very minor differences that you can pick up on if you see him in person. I'll try to highlight these in this video. A less notable thing that is kind of there on the side is that this one is a slightly brighter shade of blue than this one. This one almost kind of gives off like it almost looks purplish, whereas this one is definitely blue. This one also has like a little bit of a sparkliness to it. Like, it's almost like they put tiny amounts of glitter on his shoulders because there's like a sparkliness. This one also appears to be taller, except I don't think the figure itself is bigger. I think it's just the way he's molded makes him stand up straighter. But overall, they're extremely similar. One thing you may have noticed there, the most notable thing you can tell between the 2005 Japanese original and the 2019 is the flaps on the back there. By the way, here's the tag that came with the 2019 one. You can see 2019. Very nice picture of Gigan from Godzilla Final Wars. You can open it up, very similar there. Turn it around. You got the spikes again. Overall, really cool tag. But yeah, this one right here has the spines colored in, whereas this one, they're kind of just like faded in. I'd say this version is definitely superior. It looks much cooler. And it's just overall, I think this one's just, the Japanese version's the superior version. I think the main reason besides the flaps being painted is why this one is superior is because another thing, you may notice the tail on this one is kind of just like black, you know, like it doesn't look bad. I'm not saying it looks bad, but it's, you know, not black. But when you compare it to this one, which has silver paint going all the way down and to the end of the tail where the spike thing meets, there's really no comparison. This one just looks 10 times better in that regard. So overall, I'd say the original Japanese version is better in every way, but this figure's already so amazing that saying this figure's worse really isn't saying much. One thing I will say about this figure is obviously it is actually cheaper. You can usually find this one for about 40 bucks on, again, eBay, Amazon, wherever. This one can go upwards of 50 to 60. I purchased this guy for 45, and that's because I haggled. And that was also a toy show similar to the Showa Gigan in the back there. Overall, though, both extremely good figures. And they have very similar articulation, except they can't actually move 360 with their arms because these shoulder pads kind of prevent that. Not that I really care too much. Yeah, though, besides the paint, they're almost completely identical. And if you can't find this version, you don't really care about these minor paint differences, I'd recommend just going for this one because it's cheaper and much easier to find. As I mentioned before, there is actually another version of Final Wars Gigan, but it is inferior to both of these versions. It's another Bandai one. And the main difference is that it's the American version, you know. The thing about it, the American version, is the knees kind of like are not bent as much, so the legs are like straighter and the knees face outwards more instead of kind of like, not to say these guys' knees are inwards, but the American one's knees, it almost kind of looks like it's squatting is basically what I'm saying. And it doesn't look bad, but it just doesn't look nearly as good as the Japanese leg mold. And it's quite clear when you just show anyone. When I was purchasing this one, the original Japanese one, the American one was also on sale. Again, this one was going for 50 bucks. The American one was going for 20 bucks. So that price alone should tell you all you need to know about the Japanese original compared to the American one. Overall, the Japanese one's just much better. So there you go. That's every version of Gigan. If I had to rate them based on quality alone, I'd say original Japanese Final Wars is the best. Probably followed by the 2018 Showa Gigan. Probably followed by the newer version of Final Wars Gigan. And then last but not least is the 2002 Showa Gigan. They're all really good. It honestly is all personal preference which ones you like the best, but I'd recommend honestly all of them. And they're all good figures. And this makes up probably about half of my Bandai Godzilla collection. It's just Gigans, what can I say? But I also have a, Godzilla 2000. I have Anguirus, also from Final Wars. I have Kiryu from Godzilla Tokyo SOS. And they're all great figures. I've never had a bad experience with Bandai, unlike, again, things like NECA. So usually whatever you see on the website that you're buying on is, again, as long as the seller is reliable, whatever you see is exactly what you're going to get. And I've never been let down by any of these figures before, and Bandai always delivers. Don't get Bandai mixed up with Playmates, though. Playmates kind of has the rights to most Godzilla figures right now, and most ones you see in stores are Playmates, and they are usually a lot less quality than Bandai as far as quality and especially paint go. So I'd always recommend going Bandai over Playmates or other things. The NECA Godzilla figures as far as NECA goes, are not bad also. Again, they probably have some similar NECA problems, like, oh, you have to heat up the joints or else the tail won't go in, you know, dumb shit like that. But other than that, NECA ones aren't so bad. SH Monster Arts also has quite a lot of Godzilla figures, except I do not own any SH Monster Arts figures, so I cannot tell you how good they are. You might want to just watch other videos for that. But there you go. That's my whole Gigan collection. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want to see any other Bandai figure reviews. Thank you.